really quick, I wanted to go over the major assignments because by now you've probably looked through the syllabus, and I make a lot of assumptions in this class regarding everyone's activity and participation and enthusiasm. I totally recognize that everyone doesn't share the same enthusiasm for the topic of disability, but it's nice to dream. But really quickly, the major assignments are posted here. In the overview, I mentioned the interviews, and so in week 6, you have to submit an interview that you have completed with the parent of a child with a disability. I do exclude myself from this activity simply because you're going to be hearing a lot about my son in this class, and his name is Caleb, and I use him as for a lot of examples. So instead of having to go through the drama of picking just one student to give that information to, I share it with everyone. So you do have to go outside of just me and finding someone who parented a child with disabilities, and it doesn't matter if that child is now no longer a child and an adult, or say, for instance, maybe they, I hate to say outgrew their disabilities, but there are certain disabilities that children develop enough coping strategies with it so that they don't necessarily need special education services. So when I do reference someone growing out of a disability, it doesn't mean that if, they were born with, one limb, then all of a sudden they outgrew it and they no longer have, they now have 2 limbs. It just means that they have come up with enough strategies and resources and technology possibly to help them overcome the disadvantage their disability may have caused them in their learning environment. As the class goes on, I will definitely unpack that statement more, but just know that sometimes people do believe that they outgrow a disability when it no longer impacts one of their major life activities. And you also have to do an interview with someone who is an adult with disabilities. And if you look around, there's plenty of people. Nowadays, adults are very, very open if they have ADHD or if they have anxiety and depression. In chapter 1, I'm going to unpack the differences between a disability disease diagnosis and a disorder. So, yeah, there's that. That's week 4. Your parent education meeting is due in week 6. In the past, I have allowed students to go on YouTube and watch a video, whether it be an IEP meeting. It can be a resource that's available to all parents, maybe going over an overview of what ADHD looks like in, the elementary school setting. YouTube is your friend. You want to make sure it comes from a credible source. Please excuse my dog in the back. He too, similar to my bird, they like to get really noisy when I'm recording. So just think of it as a soundtrack, possibly. So like I said, the parent education meeting, you can go on YouTube and just Google it, or go to the search feature, I should say, and then look for parent education meetings around disability. You're going to definitely want to choose a topic. And in week 1's module, there is a link for the topic signups for the resource manual, family resource manual, and only one topic per person, so the sooner the better. There are, I believe, about 17 or 18 topics available, and so if there is a topic that you're interested in that is not listed, please send me an email and let me know what topic you're thinking of. And if it's something that's not there and it definitely can work, then I don't see why you shouldn't be able to use it, but I want to review the topic prior to you settling on it. Mainly because there are some diagnoses out there that are relatively new, and it may be difficult. Whereas there may be a lot of research out there about it, there may not be resources as plentiful, especially in the San Diego area. Say, for instance, for cerebral palsy, autism, Down syndrome, there's plenty of activities. These are diagnoses and that have been around for a while, a long while. So not only is there research out there that would support a resource manual, there are also community resources available, because one of the features of the resource manual is to list the resources that are readily available. Thankfully, technology allows us to be able to access a variety of information versus just sticking to what is local to San Diego County. But you definitely want to include San Diego County resources as well as in California resources, because some of them are not available nationally. Let's see. You want to use this week to select your topic. You can go ahead and jump in there right now if you want to and put your name beside it. The Parent Family Resource Manual does include a video where you're going to be teaching a pretend audience of parents with that chosen topic. So if you have chosen ADHD as your topic, and then from there you're doing a video, and then say for instance, and I brought along some of the I want to say the make and takes that students have used in the past. So one student in the past created a fidget for students who have ADHD. And so in her video, she showed parents how to go about creating a fidget that allows students to, just have something that they can place on their desk and they can fidget with it. Or in this case, say for instance, they're not in their desk and they're, maybe really, really anxious right now. And, they're waiting in line for, I don't know, let's say food, because that seems to be a thing now. You have to wait in line sometimes to get into the grocery store during peak hours. If they're feeling a little fidgety, or if they have ADHD and they need to focus while they're giving maybe a speech, she created a fidget that is basically a popsicle stick that she wrapped, or she had us wrap, because we did everything, for everything that was created, we did it together. And we wrapped a popsicle stick, and then we took a pipe cleaner, and then we added in some of the little cheap beads that you can get at Michael's and taped it off at the end, and then instant fidget. It's quiet, It can also be used for counting. Say for instance, also for if you're needing to count, you want to work with a child on counting. It could be used for speech. If you want them to engage in conversation with you, you may look at it and say, hey, I can't find the purple bead. Can you help me find the purple bead? And so now the student is not only having to, use their critical thinking and decipher which one is pink, purple, green, yellow, but also you could also have them count out. Let's count to, the purple bead. And so all of the activities that are going to go along with your family resource manual are things that parents, teachers, aides, child care workers, anyone can create on their own. And depending on the child's ability level, because remember in this class we are always referencing children with disabilities, you always want to be thinking out of the box. And if they're old enough to be able to create something like this on their own, great. Now you got an activity that can keep them busy for a while, keep them engaged, and then there's a possibility they may take more ownership of their fidget, or however you choose to present it. Let's see, lesson plan explanation. You do have to create a lesson plan, and this is basically where you're going to be showing how this is going to be done. Templates are everywhere for lesson plans. You can look on Pinterest. Google is your friend. Those two resources right there are definitely your friends when it comes to getting creative with differentiating instruction with individuals with disabilities. The annotated bibliography is a little different for this particular assignment, because it's not necessarily you looking at the research, because there's another section of the Parent Resource Manual where you address strictly research around your topic. The annotated bibliography is going to be 4 books, 2 that are children books and 2 that are for adults. And I brought along, and I am going to post some sample resource manuals so you'll have an idea of what it looks like, and also a sample video, because I don't want you to walk away, or maybe I should say log off, like, what is Nicole talking about now? But for the resources, for the what was I saying? The annotated bibliography, there it is. What you're going to be doing is coming up with not only the title of the book, as well as in a summary of it, but you're going to also be posting a picture. Where's my finger? Over there. Of the book as well. And so you're going to give a brief overview of what each book is talking about and why it is helpful for, say, for instance, a parent of a child with language delay, because this particular resource manual that a former student made was all about language delay. And so, like I said, I will post a video. Sorry, I will post an example of one that earned, star points. And I want you to be as creative as possible with this. Remember, you're working with children in general, and then you're working with children with disabilities as well. So you don't want to make it super complicated, but at the same time, you want to challenge them enough so that they can hopefully, achieve that next IEP goal, or just master a skill so that maybe they don't need so much service in the future. I believe all individuals want to be independent, and one of the things I really push, not only in the office but also anytime I work with anyone with a disability, is self-advocacy. And the more that you understand the disability, the more you're able to speak into those who have that particular disability and come up with strategies that can help them. We have media reviews in this class. Week 3, there is the first media review is due. You can choose between some type of media, whether it be a TV show, movie, or you can choose a book for week 3, but it has to be either or. So if you choose some type of media for week 3, then I will be expecting you to have reviewed some type of book for week 7. Please know when it comes to the book, it can also be a children's book. It can be a book you've already read. When I talk about media and TV shows and movies, I always use the example of Finding Nemo, because you can go back and rewatch a movie that made the disability the focus, and in Finding Nemo, many do not think that it's a movie about disabilities, but it is. Nemo has a small fin, and his dad, Marlin, calls it his lucky fin. And so in the beginning, for those of you who have or have not seen it, Marlin is always talking about, what Nemo cannot do because of his fin. You're too this, you're too that, you're fin. Let me not, I don't think you're ready for school because you're not ready. You're smaller than the rest. It's like all of this constant negativity that Marlin wasn't aware that it was negativity at the time, that he keeps spewing at Nemo, and all Nemo wants to do is be accepted by his peers and feel like he can do anything that he wants to do, from touching the boat / butt to, helping, was it trout? I believe it was trout, helping them swim down, so they wouldn't be caught by the fishermen. It's all the little things, right? And so if you go back and rewatch a lot of Disney movies, there is an underlying current of some type of disability there, even though they will not call it, like in Finding Dory, she too has a disability. I had a student in the past talk about Winnie the Pooh, and just watching a regular episode of Winnie the Pooh, and talked about the different characteristics of Rabbit, who they had deemed to have ADHD and anxiety, to Tigger. I believe it was Tigger who has ADHD, according to the student, and Rabbit has anxiety. Some people claim that, Winnie the Pooh had, well, I won't get into it. Some people mentioned that he had a binge eating disorder, and I was like, I don't know if he was binge eating. He just loved to eat. So I don't know, the obesity kept him from being able to get more honey, but, I kind of feel Winnie the Pooh is one of my favorite characters, and I'm just kind of like, nah, he's fine. He's fine. He's Winnie the Pooh. He didn't bother anybody. He had his needs met. He's fine. But I can totally see it in Rabbit, and I can definitely see it in, of course, Eeyore. He's like classic depression. And then your research paper. Your research paper goes along with the Parent Family Resource Manual. So once again, if you have selected, I'm going to throw out anxiety as your topic. So your Parent Family Resource Manual is going to talk all about the resources and the peer-reviewed articles related to anxiety. And then your research paper is going to be where you really unpack a particular question that you've come up with around anxiety. So if your research problem is, how does anxiety affect, girls going through puberty, then there you go. You're going to be unpacking that information in your research paper, and it will go along with your resource manual. So we will discuss this more on Thursday, and I look forward to hearing more from everyone.